And he said to me, if you ever come to Benares, come visit me. So, of course, I knocked on his door. He didn't offer me any chai or tea. He didn't do any small talk. He immediately, because he was a very intuitive person, he put his guitar in my hand and gave me my first lesson. And that was that. I never made it to the Vipassana retreat. I ended up getting a room that day in his guru's house and started learning sitar. And then his guru, who at the time was in his 70s, but he was in really good shape, he said to me, if you want to reproduce the pure sound on an instrument, you have to be able to sing it. And as many people know, all of these Indian musicians, doesn't matter if they're tabla players or sitar players or sarod, they all have to learn how to sing as well. So every morning at 6, I would get a singing lesson. And then, because I had played flute, and actually I had been playing with the idea of learning Indian classical music on the Indian flute, which is the bansuri, which is a bamboo flute. Very difficult to play, by the way, almost as difficult as the shakuhachi. But the thing was that the only good flute player in town was having health problems. And so it wasn't the right time for me to study flute. So I realized that the voice was, I was using my body as my instrument. So if those of you who know the tambura looks a bit like a sitar. It has a big board as its main resonance body. And so you have to see your body as the tambura, and then the spine is like the arm of the tambura, and then you have the strings that you could liken to the vocal cords that are being played by your breath, or the nadis, the subtle energy channels.
And we're going to have to hold it there. Shanti, that's a beautiful analogy. Let's hold that and get back to that when we get back.
Okay.
We'll be right back. I'm Jay Weidner, and we're listening to Smoke and Mirrors Radio Hour. Thanks for listening. We'll be back with Shanti Shivani. Welcome back to the Smoke and Mirrors Radio Hour. Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 in the Pacific. All around the world, tell your friends. We're up on the satellite. You can broadcast our show. Tell your friends. The archives are up at the Smoke and Mirrors Radio.net, so you can listen to everything. We've had Robert Lawler on, John Major Jenkins. We had Joseph Farrell last Friday. We've got Shanti Shivani today. I want to remind everyone I've got a new movie coming out called Infinity, The Ultimate Trip. And if you're interested, go to sacredmysteries.com and you can find out where you can view the film. It's showing all over the country right now and will be for the next few months. And I'll have some of the guests that I interviewed for Infinity on, but I want to wait because the film really hasn't gotten going yet. We had our first showing last week, sold out, got a standing ovation. Very nice.
It is absolutely fabulous. I want to congratulate you on that film.
Oh, I wasn't aware that you'd seen it.
I saw it when I was visiting Prakriti Das 2 weeks ago.
Ah, well, thank you. Yeah.
No, it's a marvelous film.
Yeah, well, it's if you're interested in the film, anyone who dies is going to be interested in the film. So, I think that includes just about everybody. So,
really?
You need to see it. I actually made the film because my mom died in 2002, and I never really had a close member, close relative. I've had friends, but not a relative, die. And I didn't know how to say or what to say to her, or how to talk to her. I found for myself for the first time in my life completely and totally, couldn't come up with any words. And I didn't know how to make her feel better about what, and I could see the fear, and I knew she was terrified, and nothing I could say. So that's why I made the film. I just wanted it for her, actually. It's a film that she'll never see, but we've shown it to a lot of people, including my dad and a lot of older people, and they all have just loved it. So That's good. All right, so now we're back at this beautiful analogy that you just made about the instrument and its corollary to the human body. So let's start from there, because that was beautiful.
So what happened was I started to experience my body as this resonating instrument, and that coincided with the so-called Dhrupad Mela, which means the music festival dedicated to the ancient style of Indian classical music called Dhrupad. Now, this style actually developed out of the Sanskrit chanting and the devotional music of India. And this beautiful classical style developed out of it, and it was originally only sung by Hindu priests. And then there was one instrument that Dhrupad was played in, which is the veena. The veena is very similar to the sitar, only that it has two very big gourds and a much lower sound. It sounds much more like a human voice, actually, because it's a lower sound. But anyway, in the 16th century, that was when this music was developed more as a court music style. And when I went to the Dhrupad Mela, there were many, many musicians performing. It went on for 5 days and nights. This was in Benares itself, the holy city of Shiva, where every Hindu wants to die so he will not be reborn, by the way, because we were talking about dying. Uh-huh. And I heard these two men sing together, the elder and the younger. And I saw them, and my whole being knew this is the music I have been looking for my entire life, although I never knew I was looking for a specific style of music. And these are my teachers. And I was very excited. I was on fire. And I found out who was one of their students. Well, this student said to me, they will not accept you if you do not commit to studying with them for 5 years. And she flat out refused to take me to the teacher who was living in Benares. The other one was living in Bombay at the time. So anyway, 9 months later, the same woman sees I'm still in Benares, I'm still studying music, it looks like I'm committed. So she took me to the teacher, and I had to sing for him. And I will never forget, it was full moon, and he was living next to the Durga temple. So I went to the Durga temple, made offerings, and then I went over and I sang the little bit of Rag Durga that I had learned. And he accepted me. And this was December 1981. And it totally changed my life. And this has been my path since then. And the practice itself, where it differs from the Khyal style, I mean, the form itself is quite different. But we have a very great focus on the Nad Yoga and opening up to the inner sound. Here in the West, you'd probably call it the sound current, the inner sound current. We talk about the Anahata Nada, which is the unstruck sound. And Anahata, for those people who are familiar with the chakras, the Anahata is the heart. So the unstruck inner sound is in the heart. And you know, as well as anybody, Jay, that everybody is talking about really necessary that we have to reconnect with the heart. So
that's for sure.
One of the main practices that I found actually the most powerful practice, before sunrise, we had to sing the lower octave. And first of all, we had to sing the lower octave because in this form of singing, which is the singing of the natural voice, you connect the voice and your energy with the pelvic floor, and you sing with your entire body.
Okay, hang on. We're going to take a little advertising break. Pay for this. It's very interesting. Hold that. I want to get right back to that. The morning sunrise.
Okay.
And you're singing. And this is all about sound yoga and how you can heal yourself and make your life better through sound. And I want to get into that also, about how sound can change the molecular structure of the human body and all of that. So we'll be back. I'm Jay Weidner, talking to Shanti Shivani, Smoke and Mirrors Radio Hour. We'll be right back.